What's up YouTube? In this video we're going to do the $40 Dick's Sporting Goods Fly Fishing Challenge. Let's do it. So we head off to Dick's first and grab the rod. So everybody, here's the pole that we got. This is a Martin Classic fishing rod. I got this for $40 at Dick's Sporting Goods with the pole, line, and the tackle that I needed. This whole setup is an all-in-one package. I got line, I got hooks, I got lures, I got everything I need to go and fly fish. The rod is about 12 feet long. This is a very big rod. I'm not an experienced fly fisherman, so I don't know if that's good or bad. This is going to be my first time ever fly fishing, but we're up for the challenge, and hopefully we'll improve along the way. And here are some of the lures that I got. This here is a leech, I believe. I got a pretty snazzy looking fly, two snazzy looking flies, and two smaller snazzy looking flies. And these are the pair of waders that I'm using. These are a very ancient pair that I got from my buddy. These are a bit on the old side. I did a temporary fix because the straps broke off on it. And I did a temporary fix on the ankles, which wasn't really a good fix. But these are this is what we're using, and hopefully I don't get soaked. So we got all the tackle now, and now it's time to go to the fishing spot. So we get to the river, and we're all alone, which is good news for us. So we get down there, and I'm just about getting ready. Yikes. And of course, me being the inexperienced dummy of fly fishing, I didn't hold on to line, and I'm leaving a paper trail from my truck all the way down to the spot, basically. Then I had to go all the way back up from where I came from and get my line back. So we're already off to a good start. So our first cast, or I guess you can call it attempt of cast. Yikes. This is my first time ever fly fishing. I suck at casting, and a lot of other things, and a lot of other stuff about fly fishing. So our first attempt at casting, a second attempt, third attempt, 5th, 10th, 100th, 200th, 300th. Folks, my casting is so bad, I'm basically injuring myself. I've almost hooked myself about 5 times. I've had the line whip back at me, hit me in the face. I mean, this is embarrassing, but it's also funny. But we're gonna stick to this challenge no matter what. So we're finally getting at least out there, 10 feet, I have to say. I know that's pretty bad. Oh my god, folks, we actually completed a cast. It's a miracle. But where we started when we were casting, I guess you can call it an improvement. I would not really call it casting, I would call it more me hitting myself with a line, then trying to recast it out there. But fellas, we're gonna change spots, and maybe we'll get a fish. So when we arrive to the new spot, I see a smallmouth. I can see a smallmouth in the river. I'm starting to get excited, like, holy crap. That's right there. We might actually catch something, but my horrifically bad fly fishing skills come back to haunt me. Everything was going smoothly. I put it out in front of the bass. The bass saw it, and the bass was starting to stalk it. It was coming closer and closer. This was it. And I made the worst mistake of the day. I yanked back on the lure too hard, making the lure jump out, completely freak out the fish, and missing my shot at getting a really decent sized smallmouth. If I had to guess on how big this thing was, I would say it would be a 1.5 or 2 pound bass, being generous. Not anything to break the record books, but a pretty nice bass if I had to say so myself. So after that humiliation, we're gonna stick to this spot. I can see little bait fish, I can see little flies, I can see occasionally a bass or something swimming through the water. This is a decent spot. So we spend the next, I would say, about almost 2 hours at this spot, casting, failing, attempting to cast, casting one good cast, then getting caught up in the trees and the weeds, having a leak in my waders and having water slowly fill up in my waders. Then all of a sudden, disaster strikes. Due to my own incompetence, I get the knot of the century in the fly rod. This is a horrifically bad knot. I had to completely deassemble this thing in the mud and attempt to get it back and working. Well, boys, big problems. And again, this is 100% my fault. I allow way too much line, then try to reel it back in really fast because I realized the mistake. This is definitely a oopsie on me. By some miracle, we get the rod assembled and back and working. At this point, it's starting to quiet down a bit. I'm not seeing bass, I'm not seeing any smaller fish. So I head back to the first spot that we went to, and we try our luck there. Close by to the original spot, we set up there, and oh boy, there's a lot of seaweed. Well, the GoPro's had enough, it's completely dead. So it's just gonna be this camera. There's two things that I've only caught today, myself and some seaweed, and there's a lot of seaweed at this new spot. After a few casts of catching just seaweed, I see another fish. I believe this is a bass. I don't know if it's a small or largemouth bass, but I can see the outline of a bass. And the bass swoops in, grabs the lure, and starts running with it. I make a terrible mistake. I learned this way after the fact. I hooked him completely wrong. I yanked on the pole, and the bass just went whoop. The bass just spat out and swam away. Another chance in the books, folks. Missed. After that traumatic experience, I managed to get my lure caught in a tree and lose it up there. Nice. So that's nice. Retie, but at this point, a thunderstorm, I can hear just thunder off in the distance. So I pack it up, and that was the end of the challenge. This was my first time ever fly fishing, and I guess you can say it went alright. I had a chance of hooking a pretty nice smallmouth. I blew a chance of hooking a bass. I couldn't tell what kind of bass it was, but I blew my chance at that. So it was all not that bad, but for one, I need to get better at casting a fly. This is embarrassing. This is embarrassing how bad I cast. So next time I fish with a fly, I can promise you folks, I'm gonna be better at casting. I'm not gonna be this horrific where you can't even look at what I'm doing. But all in all, this $40 challenge was pretty good. For what I got out of that rod and all that equipment, it's pretty good. I got lures, line, and a rod. But obviously, fly fishing is very tough. I should have really practiced more at casting before actually going out. All in all, I think we're gonna keep the rod and we're gonna stick to fly fishing. And there's gonna be new videos about that. And you can see me fail, improve, hopefully get a fish with it. But besides that, if you wanna see the spin the wheel fishing challenge video over here, and if you wanna see the Walmart fishing challenge video down here. But besides that, I'll see y'all later. See ya.